Hello and welcome. Today's topic is going to be about possibilities, and the possibilities are endless. There's a lot of stuff going on right now between wild, crazy amounts of heat and global warming to unsure political things happening, and even our money is quote unquote running out of time. And with so much upheaval, I thought today we would just take a look at some of the positive things that we can do, or the things historically people have done when they've ran into situations like this. Because the fun thing about history is that it always repeats. So let's see who did what right when things were starting to change as they are now, and who got left behind. Because everybody has a chance, everybody has the opportunity, as long as you are breathing, to remake yourself, to be better, stronger, faster. Whatever you need to be, hopefully we can help you be it today. All right, so today we're going to be looking at the new things that you can do, the hard situations, and what the smart people are doing. So in other words, you're going to have to take a leap of faith into the new things, because you can't solve a problem at the level it was created. So we're going to do something new. We're going to take a look at the possible obstructions that could keep you back or stop you from advancing or realizing your possibilities. And then finally, the third part is going to be in what the smart people are doing. Okay. So first things first, there have always been and will always be new beginnings. Things, when they no longer function, people start seeing that there needs to be new things to be done. For example, from the horse to the car. Okay. That was a gigantic transformation. And one of the reasons why it was such a gigantic transformation is because the country was going from an agrarian type of economy to an industrial type of an economy. And with the industrial type of economy, the machinery, the distance, everything was not going to work with a horse. They needed to invent, and they did. And they created a car. And Mr. Ford did very well on his invention of the Model T, and he made it accessible to everybody and anybody, which is great. And that's how we need to look at today. Um, we need to see today as a revolution, kind of like they did back in the 1776 era, when we were under English control and things weren't working out the way we were hoping for them to work out. We were being taxed because the system wanted us to use the king's money as opposed to our own money, which is a taxation without representation. And that's really, in my opinion, the main reason why we broke away from England. Had nothing to do with the taxes that they were charging us, more so that it was a tax on money that was being charged us. So let's take a moment, think about all the different times in which the world took huge steps forward, and what were the causes and what were the realities in those times, and how can we compare them to today and what we are facing at this moment. Okay. Oh, and at the end, I will give you a sheet so you can actually write down and create your own template and your own path to lead you forward into these times. All right. So, the first thing I'd like to say is that anything is possible. It really is. We've had 5 mass extinctions. So, yeah, a meteorite could hit tomorrow and that would be it. There was another party before the Republicans and the Democrats. It was called the Whigs. So, the idea that there can't be another, political party is just insane, because there already was. Many of the countries around the world have multiple parties within their representation of the political system. So we can do a whole lot of things that, are a lot bigger than most people's belief systems. So for the next 20 minutes, I'm just going to ask you, please suspend disbelief. Think of it as a whimsical ride, a 5-year-old's viewpoint on anything is possible. And we'll leave all of our, shall we say, hardened belief systems in our back pocket for the next 20 minutes, because we're going to teach you some really fun stuff. All right, the first reason why I'm saying that anything is going to be possible is, first and foremost, the advancement in technology. We already talked about going from an agrarian society to an industrialized society, and we're going from an industrialized society to an an AI society, which is artificial intelligence. We're going to be bringing out so many new things, just what I'm doing here right now, the fact that you're listening to me, the fact that we're talking and communicating in two different places, in different rooms, at different times, even in different languages. This is now being rebroadcast in different languages, all kinds of different languages on 40 different platforms. So when you say, well, nobody listens to me or I can't get out there, that's not true. It's happening and you just need to be a part of it. For those of you who want to, you can go to Real.io and you can do this yourself. And Real.io is, here you go. There you go. Oops, that's Save Ukraine. Sorry. I had to do that at the end. It allows you for 30 social platforms at a time, more if you want. And it will allow you to do all kinds of things, including, which is this, put up your own messages, whether it's to help a neighboring country or whether it's to help yourself, give people the information about who you are, where they can find you. It's all technology. It's all excellent. I strongly recommend that you kind of go out there and say, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. Why? Because again, we're talking about change and transformation. And if you stay in your own room, in your own living room, nobody's going to know about you. So get out there, whether it's physically getting out there, go to your local coffee shop, go to your local gym, do something fun, or whether you're doing something like this. Here are the tools. Go use it. It's ridiculously cheap. It's about $14 a month. Go have some fun. Second thing you got to realize is the possibilities is that possibilities usually don't spring ahead in just small leaps and bounds. It's massive leaps and bounds. And the example I'd like to give you is the example of going from hand printing, which everybody who had scribes would be writing out books and copying books, to the Gutenberg Bible, which was the printing press. Gutenberg developed the printing press, and then boom, books by the thousands. And now instead of books by the thousands, we have computers that let us produce and create books by the millions, by the hundreds of millions. So when we see these big switches, these changes, these possibilities that arise, they go from this to this to this. They branch out and they become more extreme, which is even better for us. And the reason why this is better for us is because they create new opportunities, not only for myself, but for everybody. The only person they don't create an opportunity for is the person who looks at the mirror and says, God, I miss the old times. God, I wish things were just back the way they used to be. And you know what? They never do. They never go back unless something horribly, horribly, horribly happens. Everything does cycle, but it cycles forwards, not necessarily backwards. For those of you who would like to play the point counterpoint game, yes, I do understand the fact that if a giant meteorite hits the Earth, we probably will go back to horses and carts because the whole thing, electrical and everything else, will be gone. But that's okay. Horses are cool by me. But for right now, you can't bank on a meteorite. But you can bank on the fact that the car industry has gone from a very, very, very interesting place of combustion engines to a more prominent place, which is now electrical engines, which are going to be some of the new things that we're going to be talking about. For those of you who want to get into servicing new engines, new types of engines, working with new types of cars, I strongly recommend that you do that. The writing is on the wall for all things electrical, all things financial, all things political, and all things social. The possibilities for all things electrical means that we're going to have new ways of storing energy, new energy packaging, i.e. batteries, solar chargers, and different things like that. And there's going to be a huge amount of people that are needed for that. We're going to have new financial industries. Bitcoin is not going away. I've heard it say that it was going to die 20 times. It hasn't. Learn what kind of new financial things are coming around. Find out why the people are talking about the death of the dollar. And for those of you who want to know more about it, Google death of the dollar. All things have an economic cycle. Politically, we're going to get into that a little bit later, but socially, reach out physically, reach out like this, say hello, go out there and put yourself out there. Will you meet some negative people? Yeah, probably. But that's okay. There's negative people out there. You're a big person. You can take this. Don't let the haters hate on you. Enjoy your life. Okay, there's also a new possibility out there that I think is going to be really interesting, and that is going to be um, satellites and economic systems. And with the satellites and technology being what it is, the economic systems are growing and changing. We've all had to just come through a really hard time with COVID, and the supply chain really got fouled up. And now what they're going to be doing is that they're going to be launching something called Starlink. And satellites and economic systems will be once again working together. And with that happening, you're going to see a lot more transformation in goods produced, services produced, different things like that. So if you want to do something around satellite maintenance, satellite technology, and the going back and forth the supply chain and logistics, that's going to be a big thing, I think, to be coming up in the next couple of years, making sure that project part A gets to part B. Think FedEx, think Amazon, think of all these different things. The satellites and the economic systems are going to be huge, and the possibilities, again, are endless. Healthcare, another huge example of what could be new and on the horizon. You're going to see a marriage, I believe, of healing techniques, and you're going to see a marriage of modern medicine. Healing techniques, for example, if you get COVID, you can get antivirals, you can run the course and all the rest of that stuff. But I had a bad case of COVID. I didn't expect to get as sick as I did. And one of the things that I did was I went to a salt cave, and that helped me tremendously. I mean, it really brought out all of the bad stuff and really helped out with my COVID symptoms. It also even helped out with my allergies, which I'm not saying it's going to work for you. I'm just saying that it worked for me. So go and see if it might work for you. Or if you know somebody who has COPD, allergies, if you know somebody who's having a hard time with COVID, this is a possibility for you to try something new. And like I say, the possibilities are endless. Go see. It'll cost you maybe a couple of dollars. But the value that it could have on your life, transformative. I highly recommend that. Okay. There's going to be a far more amount of interconnectedness, whether we like it or not. There's going to be more people, more banking systems connecting to each other with Amazon accounts and PayPals and people on Facebook and social media and everything else. And just like everything else, there'll be churn and there'll be turnover. So what was popular one day is not going to be popular today. A while back, the Lindy was the popular dance. It is no longer the popular dance. At one time, Cab Calloway was the hottest thing on the airwaves, and now he is not. Things change, things progress. With so many things changing and so many things progressing, we're going to start to see a whole lot more of information coming out because of the computing systems and different things like that. I even think that we're going to start to see some of the things that they're trying to keep secret or hidden, like with Edward Snowden and people like that who are breaking into all kinds of different classified places. I think at some point we're going to see somebody get into DARPA and release a whole bunch of information. I think we're going to get probably people releasing information politically, like we're seeing now with the trials and different things like that. There's too many people with too many ways to get information out. And with that being the case, all of the secrets are going to be coming to an end, and you're going to see a world-class level of information coming out. And it's going to be an explosion of information, and it's usually happening. Now, the best way to deal with that kind of things is to see it from two perspectives, and we'll get into that in a second. Okay, so even though things are going to be difficult, there's all kinds of possibilities out there for you to do all kinds of amazing and wonderful things. So let's get into the difficulties. What are going to be the difficulties? Well, I told a friend of mine that I would talk about this right up front, so here we go. Astrologically, there is a Pluto return for the first time in the history of the United States. Hasn't happened since the United States was founded back in 1776. Or for some people, 1789 when the Constitution was created, or whenever you want to set the date, it's fine. We're going through a Pluto return, and what that does is that creates massive upheaval and massive change. The energy is to just separate, to bring out all the wrong stuff and bad stuff and say, we're not going to take it anymore. Last time it happened, we broke away from England. This time, I think it's going to be a social political upheaval that will cause our political systems to have to readjust to the idea that nobody trusts you anymore, politicians, from the right or from the left, and you keep trying to divide everybody. And this will be a main topic, I think, for the next several weeks and months, if I'm not mistaken. And that is an increasingly negative tension builds due to negative factors and actors hostile to the idea of keeping the peace. And these would be media, and these would be politicians, and the politicians and the media constantly giving a reinforcing negative outlook or reinforcing the idea that the other side is the bad guy, that they are the evil ones, they are the bad guys, and the 10% on either side are going to totally go after each other, whether it's Boebert or Omar, or whether it's Mitch McConnell or Nancy Pelosi. They're just going to vilify they're just going to vilify each other to the point where nobody trusts anybody. And without trust, democracy dies. You can't have a democracy without trust. We call that a dictatorship, where one guy gets in and says, trust me, I got 90% of the vote. The other guy didn't get anything. Just a smattering. That's what we don't want. That's what I think is probably going to be happening. The reason why I think it is going to be happening is because of the complete distrust of the other side. We already know that you can make a whole lot of money if you just capture 5% of America and sell them shit, just crap, over and over and over again, because we know that there's a certain percentage of Americans, probably about 53%, I think, who have an educational level as far as reading goes at about 6th grade or so, which means that they can read see spot run, or they could read something like a stop sign, but there's no critical thinking involved, i.e., why is spot running? Or why did they put a stop sign there? They just see things and do things. They believe what they are told. They just do things because that's what they do. That's who they are. It comes from an emotional bias or a base. And usually they're biased towards one group or another. It's the ones and zeros crowd. I got them. There's no kind of shades of gray. And these people are going to be all up in everybody's faces saying there's no such thing as global warming. There's only the right and left. Things have always been this way. Things will always be that way. Those are the people that are looking to basically keep things as they are, and they won't. Why? As we said earlier, change is inevitable. And because change is inevitable, these are going to be some of the people that get hit the hardest. So if you're one of these people who just sees Republican is better than Democrat, or Democrat is better than Republican, you're probably going to be the one who gets smacked the hardest with the changes that are coming up. And you don't want to be that guy. That's not the guy that you want to be. All right. One of the things that I'm going to talk to you about today is drought, famine, hardship. It's not going to be going away. It's going to be happening. And how do I know that? Why do I think that? Well, let's take a look at Bill Gates. I think he's a relatively smart guy. What did he do? He bought a lot of agricultural land. Why? Food. It's going to be real important. He knows that. He's looking ahead. He's got it figured out. How about George W. Bush? You guys think he's smart? Dumb? Somewhere in the middle? The man just bought a whole bunch of Texas property with nothing on it. Not a damn thing but scrub and brush. Why? Gigantic aquifer underneath. You don't think water is important in Texas or in the Southwest? All of this stuff is going to be coming to a head pretty soon, sooner than later. So because of that, one of the things I would recommend is that you maybe start a garden, get some solar panels, do some things like that. So if something does happen, you keep moving forward. Remember, possibilities can only happen as long as you have the power and technology to move them forward, to move your life forward. You need food, you need water, you need shelter. So make sure that you have all of these things. Be prepared for the things that are going to possibly go wrong. Even if you don't use them, you'll be really glad that you have them. Okay? And if you want to get into how it's happening and who to blame and everything else, feel free to send me a note, write me a letter, do anything you want. You can reach me through the website, which is here, todd@toddhershey.com. And I'll be happy to answer your questions on who I think is responsible for this and what I think we can do to stop it. Because the bottom line is, and this is my belief, is that basically the rich will get rich and the poor are going to get more poor. And it's not just me who thinks that. It's basically any economist who can read a chart and look at a graph and just see what's happening to America. On my website, I'll put a link up to an incredible video that explains just how much the top 1% of the top 1% have made. So if you want to, please feel free to go to my website. All right, so let's get into what you can do specifically. All right. First thing you can do is that smart people will always seek forms of verification, not just one, but two, hopefully from two different sources. So first thing somebody that is intelligent will do is watch Fox News. The next thing that they will do is watch MSNBC News, basically on the same story. And somewhere in the middle is the truth. For some people, they like to go to The Hill. For other people, they like to go to The Economist or The Atlantic. Everybody, no matter what you want or what you don't want, will have an opinion on something or a reason to say something. And whatever those reasons are, you want to have a point counterpoint, just like they always used to have. But you can't solve what somebody says or what somebody does just because you want them to write something a certain way or believe something a certain way. It doesn't work that way. You get the two viewpoints because you realize that you cannot solve a problem at which the problem was created. So you want to gain as much information from as many different sources as you can. For example, when you have 22 people go out and tell you that the dinner at this place was phenomenal, and one guy says it was okay, what do you got? You got a pretty good idea that it's phenomenal. And that's what the rich guys are doing. That's what the smart guys are doing. They're taking information from all over the place, various sources, rich, poor, gay, straight, black, white. All of them are looking to gain information. And the perspective that that information comes from is factored in on their decisions. That's important. What's also important is that they're keeping an open mind. They're looking to ask the hard question. They want to know what's happening and they want to know the reasons why. When I'm helping people, when I'm working with people, I usually will ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, how truthful do you want me to be? 10 being completely truthful. Most say, 95% say 10, of which I go at about a 7. When I go up to an 8, that's when they start crying. Very few people can handle the unvarnished truth. It's not pretty, and it can be used, if not carefully, as a weapon to hurt other people. So one of the things that I'd like you to do is I'd like you to see basically everybody has their own truth. And the more truths that you can connect and collect, it becomes pretty much like a blanket, just the threads of a blanket. They overlay each other. And all of these truths make up a total truth. And that's what I want you to get to see. What is the total truth of what is going on here? Because you ain't going to get it from CNN, NBC, ABC, MSNBC, or Fox News. You damn sure are not going to get it from One News or any super liberal website or blog person out there. Even me, I can't give you everything. That's for you to decide what's right for you. But do yourself a favor. Get as many different opinions as you can, because when you do, you're going to realize just how out of whack things are. Okay. Now that we looked at the idea of maybe a little bit too much of getting the idea of what to do, where to go, and everything else like that, we're going to take a look at this idea of people on the top want to stay on the top. If you're young, it's nice to stay young. If you're rich, it's fun to be rich. You don't want to be poor. And if you're pretty, you don't want to go the opposite way. People on the top don't want to change, which means that they're not going to give up the power, which is why we've got people in Congress who are past their, prime. And I'll just say it that way. as gently as I can, but we've got people that basically can't walk and chew gum at the same time. I personally see the possibility of removing those people. I see the possibility that there's going to be an 80% of them who bands together and say Citizens United is a lousy decision. I think the Supreme Court at some point in the next 2 years is going to face a crisis of trust. And I think that's going to be a huge, huge thing for this country. So I think that what everybody can do is everybody can just stay calm if you can. Okay? If everybody decides that at some point the Supreme Court should have term limits, there's nothing politicians can do except for give you what you want. There's nothing they can do about taking money out of politics if that's what the people want. Remember, the people don't buy the products. The products don't get sold. The money does not come in. There's no way to bribe a politician if you're a corporation if you don't have any money. Think about that for a second, because there's all kinds of change coming, and you can collectively come together and make a huge difference in who gets what and who gets elected, and then what happens from there. That's how you make change. And these changes are going to be significant. These significant changes will also be infiltrated, or these significant also have a whole bunch of people that want to not have these changes. We already talked about the fact that rich people want to stay rich. And what they're going to do is they'll try and create agitation in people to block this from happening. Do not interact with these people. One of my favorite sayings is, just because I'm quiet doesn't mean that I agree with you. I'm quiet because I'm dumbfounded at just the total amazing amount of stupidity that's coming in from you, and I'm just speechless at this point. So I'll just keep quiet because I know there's nothing I can say to a person telling me incredibly stupid things that make no sense and defy logic. I call these people the tin hat flat earthers, who basically just want to espouse a talking point. And for those people, don't get involved with them. Again, think about what a smart person does. A smart person's not going to worry about a nickel when he's got $100 million deal on the line. You don't worry about the nickels. Don't worry about. All right, so wrapping this all up, what I'm saying to you is this is the following. Now is the time to take a leap of faith and do what you love, because there's going to be a whole lot of changes coming on. And it's always a good idea to do what you love and be with the people that you love. I think what's coming down the pike is not looking good. From Mother Nature to economics and everything that deals with that, I think that some of these changes are going to be pretty rapid. And some of these changes could be extreme, as we're seeing right now over in Europe and just even in Texas today. So, as a poet said, if not now, then when? Are you going to do something for you? When will you take that leap of faith and do that thing that you love most to do? Follow that joy. It may not be to quit your job right now today. It may be to just pick up a paintbrush. It may be to go jump in a car and go to the beach. But do something today that's going to make you alive and do something that you love to do. Remember, change is inevitable, okay? But because it's inevitable, you don't want to be behind it. You want to stay in front of the change. You want to be the change that you want to see happen. You want to do the things that makes you feel good about the fact that you are ready and prepared, and you change caught up to you. You didn't have to catch up. Trust me, you'll be happy if change catches up to you, because I know the most miserable people are generally the people that have to change. They don't like it. All right, last thing. For those of you who say, well, how do I manifest this change? Great question. Let's take a look. All right, there you go. There's that pesky pyramid again, that transformational pyramid. And oops, sorry, this is the wrong one, not for you. And here we go. There you go. All right. As you can second line down, reading sections 10 through 1 will allow you to figure out how you can create the change that you want to be and see. All right. So we go on the bottom line. Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. We talked about this. What do you want to see? Okay, let's take relationships. What do you want the outcome of this relationship to be? Do you want it to be marriage? Do you want it to be a good date? Think about what you want. Because you can basically say, I want to be married on a first date. That tends to, okay? So think about what you want. I want to be smarter. Okay. I want a better job. Okay. I want to be thinner. Okay. I want to find peace. I'm too anxious. Way anxious. Anxiety is killing me. Anxiety, spiritual, new job, mental, relationships, emotional, losing weight, physical. Pick one. Ask yourself, what is it that you want? You want to lose 10 pounds? That's the outcome that you want? Okay. What are the actions? Can you do it in 2 days? No, probably not. How long is it going to take? Be realistic. What are the intentions? I have to get healthy. Or I've got a wedding coming up in a couple of days. I think I'd like to fit into this dress. Or I want to get on the team. And it's really important to me. And if I don't make weight, then I can't get to wrestle. There's always an intention. And then consciously, you have to be around the people and situations that are going to support you. And then unconsciously, you got to get a little bit of luck sometimes. All the world has a plan. All the world is a stage, and the universe has a plan. Figure out what your plan is, and then be that energy. Be that ferocious person if you're a wrestler. Be that beautiful bride. Be that person who had a heart attack and said, you know what, I got reasons to live, and their names are Bob and Steve and Jill. And I'm going to get to see them graduate. Possibilities are endless. Use this. For those of you who have any questions around this or doing this, feel free to go to my website. You can find this in the interactive zone. You can download your words down. You can go from there. This is an old one that we used on somebody that was looking for love and different things like that. This is one. Allow me to do this. This is one that you could take a screenshot of. Go ahead, take a screenshot. Or if you want to, go to toddhershey.com and download it for free. Send it to me. I'll send you back an audio file. 8 hours to do that. After that, offer's no good. All right. Thanks for listening. I hope you're having a great week, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Take care.